Perhaps I'm looking in the wrong places, but I don't see many people discussing openly about how lonely the left-hand path can be. I hear a lot of messages from people, and those stories are not mine to share, but vaguely some of them have to do with becoming isolated due to this practice and losing loved ones that freaked out. Sometimes it's just life. You know, we go through heavy things, and we might have friends that have never experienced those things, and they freak the fuck out and they back off and coward in your dark moment. And that creates animosity in a person when it chronically happens. And this is my UPG, but I honestly I'm trying to unpack demonic attachment right now within my path, simply because my whole life, and I don't like bypassing my bullshit, like, oh, it's the demons. I have attracted so much heavy shit in my life, and I've always found myself isolated, whether I wanted to or not. It's really weird. And I'm not blaming people or circumstances or myself. It's just synchronizes that way no matter what's going on in my life, no matter who's treating me right or loving me or anything. I always end up mostly isolated in relationships due to travel, work, life. I end up like that with friends where I've always been a decent friend, and I've had really brilliant friends in my life. I've moved around a lot, and I'm grateful for these experiences. But I can't think of a single person who's been there for me as much as I've been there for them in terms of dealing with heavy shit. And I had to really knock that off. When you have so many bullets just shot at you and you're absorbing them and you're just begging people that you're supposed to love you for help, and they're like, sorry, we can't deal with that, or just a no-show, leave you on read, and you never ask for help. I struggle so much because it's very difficult for me to ask for anything. You become bitter, and you become a victim, and you become sniveling, and that can really breed animosity and viciousness. And I think that those things are healthy in small doses if we can master those feelings within ourselves, because you can utilize them when they're necessary, but you shouldn't depend on them. I'm trying to unpack this demonic attachment within my life and my path, because a lot of people who are theistic in their practice, and yours is going to look a lot different than mine, and you're going to have more knowledge or less than I do. It doesn't fucking matter. It's not a pissing contest. But I notice a pattern. I notice a pattern that this has followed people since childhood. I notice that almost every single person, and I'm not trying to have a snivel club. I'm so sorry if it sounds like that. I know people outside of Satanism and demonic attachment have hard lives, but there's just something about the energetic signature that I feel from people that have a similar path as I do, where you just get really fucked over, and you're not respected the way that you deserve to be. You're not treated like a decent, human being. You're often outcasted from your family, or for those of you who have siblings, you don't fit in with them. I don't have siblings. I don't know what it's like to have a sibling, but seeing my kids, how happy they are and just like the best of friends, it trips me out when I see people who hate their sisters and brothers and stuff. I can only imagine, though. I'm not judging, because I understand in my own right what it's like to be the black sheep of the family. And there's power in that. You get to stand on your own, and you get to unpack everything that's been weighed upon your shoulders when you have solitude. And it's hard. I wish peace on my enemies, because it'll either destroy you or it will rebuild you, and then you'll finally be at a decent caliber enough to be my nemesis. Because I've done the work. I'm still a work in progress, and we always will be. But one thing's for certain, I just noticed these synchronicities in other people. You just get really fucked over, man. And it's odd, and these weird divine things happen to people, including myself, at the skin of your fucking teeth. These enormous miracles will happen at times after going through so many storms and beefing with so many storms and trying to conquer them, trying to accept. You try to accept them, and you go, fine, I'm here at the center of the storm. I have no choice. I gotta fucking get up. My legs are broken. I gotta get up. I gotta get the fuck out of this. And everybody else is scattered like roaches, either because they're exhausted from their own storms and they don't want to deal with another one, or because they've never experienced it and they don't have the balls or the spine to handle it. They'd rather run away from it, and they're going to gas out, and that storm's going to catch up with them eventually. And then they'll collapse, under the pressure. And you have two choices when you're at that crossroads, and you'll meet the devil there. You get up and you keep going, or you stay put and you sink and you die by your own sword, dishonorably. I choose to die with honor. And that's ego speaking. That's my higher self speaking as to what I need to do. And in order to accomplish that, you need to master your own life without distractions and people around. I'm not talking about like your kids or loved ones if you're married. Even then, though, you need to detach a little bit. And a lot of the times, too, when you go through heavy things, your spouse might not be able to deal with it or doesn't know how to or has their own shit going on. And obviously, we don't like involving our kids into things. But it's hard. And I hear a lot of fucked up stories. And I go through isolation and periods of depression because of it. And my circumstances, I don't know what to tell people when they feel stuck, but to just accept it and conquer it and know that it'll get better, but don't wait around sniveling, hoping some miracle will happen. You make the miracles happen. You make that energy happen in silence. I kind of see energy metaphorically and vivid pictures into my mind, but imagine yourself as a warehouse. And you have all of these boxes full of bullshit that you have to unpack, and it's trashed everywhere to the ceiling. You have to sort through all those things with healing and shadow work. And for people who say, you don't need shadow work to do black magic, go right ahead. Continue. I see people turn into a husk of a person because they continuously exhaust their energetic vortex within those dark magical powers within our psychology, because that's what it is here. We are more than just yapping at each other. We can read each other. We're animals to our core. And when people continue to gas that out because they're too fucking weak to deal with criticism or to deal with their own life or to deal with the reality of why people treat them the way they do, I'm not trying to victim blame here, but there's an element of truth in certain circumstances where if you're not showing up as a respectful person for yourself, I'm not talking about kissing ass or bootlicking, I mean for yourself, with discipline and honor within yourself, you're not going to attract as many people who are going to try to dick you around. I've been a line cook, a chef in a male-predominant industry, and I didn't have to go in and act like I had a big old pair of balls. I just acted neutral, and I'm respectful toward people. And when they try to challenge me and they try to take advantage of my kindness, that's when I'll play the long con. I won't fake it. I'll stay silent, and I'll let people expose themselves, and it won't bother me anymore because I don't need fucking drama in my life. And you don't either because you're tired. And the reason why you have drama in your life is because you're looking for it without realizing it, because you're on edge. When you are in the state of fight or flight for a long time, you're pretty much tweaker peeking out your fucking window, wondering if somebody's going to get you. You might think somebody's after you. I see a lot of these sort of like beefy videos where people are like, oh, you know what? You think you're more magical than me. I'm going to light a candle, and it's nonsense. Why are you wasting your time on this linear nonsense that all you're doing is just playing catch with each other's energy, lighting candles and cursing each other, and you're in alliance. Some of these people are in alliance with the same gods. It's a disservice, in my opinion. You are entitled to feel however the hell you want to about anything that I say. But I will say a lot of people are starting not to like me, and I don't give a fuck. Because I'm at least genuine with the things that I feel and say, and I try to articulate myself in a way to unpack my own shit. Because isolation sucks. And at least on this platform, these small communities that I've been, working and we've built, at least I don't feel like I'm screaming in a soundproof box anymore. And you don't have to feel that way either. When you start organizing that warehouse, you start utilizing the tools, you face things, people, circumstances that have hurt you. You purge it, and it's permanent, and it's relieving. When you're trying to get rid of energetic attachments to people who have hurt you, or maybe you've hurt as well, it's hard. Cord cutting rituals can be very therapeutic, but they also can be pretty intense. But what happens when you do these sort of rituals is you're able to unpack all of these circumstances little by little, Some people struggle with keeping all of that stuff at the forefront, while others try to stuff it in because anytime they've had to express or cry for help, people have shamed them or gossiped about them, acted like they gave a fuck just to turn around and backstab you with vulnerable shit. It's not, and then for the abusers or other people that allowed it to go, oh, that never happened. What kind of person do you become with that? Do you become calm in your demeanor, or do you become very aggressive and feel like you're falling the fuck apart? And then when you do, and you scream and you squabble and you just rip yourself in half, then what? You're looked down upon by everybody as they stand over you and scoff and call you pathetic. Because they're projecting their own insecurities and their own weakness, because they didn't have the balls to scream at the rooftops. They didn't have the balls to say what was wrong. And because you did, they don't like you anymore. And they're going to do everything in their power to make you out to be the bad guy, and you need to accept it. Because it's none of your fucking business anymore. When you're isolated and you finally break free, you get to do what you want. But don't think for a minute it's oasis at first, because when I finally was blessed with peace in my life, moving to a foreign country, it was the worst thing I've ever had. It was very terrible. It was hard. It's hard when you leave abusive environments. I was emancipated at 16, and I stayed with other people, and then, just kind of couch surfed for a bit too my last year of high school, and slept outside, did all that. I felt like I was going insane only because you have an opportunity. All that shit kind of pours out that you're stuffing in. And then it happens later on in adult life too, when adult shit happens to you. You get to transmutate all of that energy into your own personal power and expansion. But you're going to have to spend some time in that warehouse. You don't have to spend every waking moment when you're in isolation and you're finally ready to heal because you're miserable and you're crying and you're sniveling and you're angry and you're projecting and you're falling apart and you're sitting there frozen. I know what this is like. You start unpacking your shit and you face these things with the devil, and it's very difficult because some of us don't like to revisit those things. We don't need to. We're like, fuck that, soldier on. But when you do, it's relieving, and you have a comprehension of why it happened, but you also have some fortitude and closure that you don't need from them, because you have it with yourself, because you understand, and you don't need to forgive. You can if you want to, but it's not necessary for your peace. I don't buy that bullshit. And I know sometimes when you're a powerful person, you live rent-free in people's minds, whether you want to or not. So you keep being yourself. Because what happens when that warehouse starts to become organized and you still feel a bit better, there's going to be dust at the front door because you haven't been taking care of that small maintenance. And then when that warehouse is finally reasonably organized, because it's never going to be pristine or perfect, and it won't maintain that unless you're just exhausting yourself focusing on it, and that's not healthy, is it? Because you have a life to live. You will then have more solitude, because now that you're healing from these issues, you're not attracting a lot of people into your life for a while you go through some growing pains with expansion. When you're getting your shit together and you're locked in finally, and you are sick to death of your circumstances, of whatever it is that you want to change, you can't take it anymore, something within you, something about you, whatever it is, you can change it. You just have to accept that it's going to take some work, and that's okay. We don't need to glamorize this tie up your bootstraps alpha bro nonsense, but there are elements of truth to that won't save people. Those guys that just do nothing but work out at the gym and just they got to make their money to buy some stupid car, they're not getting it. Those factors are important, but those aren't supplements for facing your shit and facing yourself and for being reactive with people or just being impulsive with your vices. You learn this with the devil. It's weird to me when people think that, the fallen angels, they really like to party, I feel. And I'm obviously in alliance with some of them who are known to throw back a few drinks. And that is not appropriate if you are struggling with any sort of those addictions. You don't need to give the devil your Coke or like, oh, I'm going to give you a bump too. I know that like with Belial, he does help people with addiction. So he has said, and I've heard other stories to where if somebody's struggling with, quitting a habit that's hurting them, he'll knock over their drink or he'll knock over their Coke or something like that. So please, there's no judgment here. I'm a child of addiction, and I've almost been susceptible to that to myself. I know my idiosyncrasies. It runs really rapidly on both sides of my bloodline, and I say that with honor and dignity and without judgment. But I am entitled to talk about that from my stories without mentioning other people's names, because it hurt me. You get pushed to isolation at times. This isn't about shaming people, and if people feel ashamed about the things they've done, you have to master the spectrum of shame, so then you can have that element within the symphony of your energetic signature. And when you have that peace within yourself, and you still have more solitude because your alignment is changing, you're breaking out of the matrix. And people say, there's no matrix. The matrix is a system of psychological cages that dictates everything in your life, even the time you fucking wake up, and what your kids are learning, and what you want to buy, and what you feel you need. That's what I mean. And as a result, when you're within that bullshit, there's a bunch of unhealed, unhappy, claustrophobic people screaming and ranting and just complaining and arguing about dumb, linear shit that doesn't need to exist. That doesn't need to be your personality. And it's unnecessary stress, because these people, they're not unpacking their own nonsense. They're just projecting upon each other. I see it when people are beefing on the internet over black and white, blue versus red, this and that. All you're doing is throwing energy. You're playing tennis with each other's energy, and you're getting nowhere because you're exhausted. Your arms are fucking hurting. Why? Go be at peace with yourself. Go at it alone. Because now that I have peace and I have more confidence in areas that were missing, I am locked in and hyper-focused on my goals, and I don't have to chase any fucking number. I don't have to. I don't like I always talk about chasing the carrot, because people are like, post, do this, do that, do this. To me, metaphorically, when I see that energy, it's like somebody blowing on a butterfly in order to get its attention to come toward them. We see this with money. We see this with people who are lonely and they seek partnership, whether it's a particular person or just in general. And then when they let go, they'll attract that miraculous person into their life. We see romantic things bumping into each other at the bookstore or something. And that's how life happens. That's how those miracles happen, when it's your energy. You are powerful. You just don't realize it. And when you don't know what to do with that energy, you just create more problems and chaos and drama, and then more victimhood. And it's not even real trauma. And then when real shit happens, these people don't know how to handle it. Who does, when we're not told how to live or what death is or what's real out there? We are so kept in the dark, and I am sincerely believing this is a prison planet. And I might be a tinfoil conspiracy theorist, but look around. Why is it that every major religion within, those holy lands, that those imprints, the energetic imprints of war from the Great Flood 4,000 years ago, are still not only present, but they're rapid and active, and they're killing people. Children, innocent people, mothers, and people who are just had no chance. They're indoctrinated by age 3 or 4 and handed an M16 and told, you shoot everybody that doesn't like Allah. You shoot everybody that doesn't like Yahweh. It's true. Look the fuck around. The real estate businesses, it's lithium, it's opium, it's resources, and then you're told with your tax money, hey, we're doing the right thing because we love murder in America, we love war, we love our wartime stories and our movies and our video games. And I'm not saying, it's those video games that are causing violence. It's those video games that normalize you feeling like you have to have honor to fight for a country. And they gaslight you and lie to you, that doesn't care about you, that treats you like livestock for a proxy war, for them to make profits, even more so when they invested in and took a risk with your tax money. And then you come back broken, suicidal, traumatized, struggling with alcoholism. It's fucked up. It makes me sick to my stomach, and I feel angry. And I get into these sort of moments in my life where it's really important, you guys, especially when you read and pick up on energy, to protect your vortex or have space. I need a lot of space, and I've always have, because I siphon it all in. And when the world is just in turmoil, you can't suck that all in. We don't have the energetic capacity. We can't handle all of it. It's like trying to fill a dam's worth of water into a fucking, one of those bladders that you hold water in, like a canteen bladder. You can't. It'll burst and overflow and just kill everything around it. It'll drown everything around it because it's not supposed to be there. And even though we have all this chaos and turmoil and noise going on social media, in our everyday lives, waiting in line for some dumb fucking junk plastic thing, or some shit fucking meal that we don't even like, but we're just tired and we don't know what else to do. We're just fucking waiting in line. And we're alone. And everybody wants to go home because they don't want to be around all this shit. And then we go home and we isolate. A lot of husbands come home and they go straight to the game or the video games. They watch the football or their games. I'm not saying not to decompress. I'm saying the reason why you have to decompress so much is because this is fucked up. And you end up alone. And you end up feeling lonely, and you cause divide within your own home. You never take me out on a date or whatever. I'm not trying to tell people what they need to do. I'm using examples. And if you feel like when somebody says something and calls you out and you're like upset about it, go into solitude and unravel and fall apart. And you know what? The fallen angels, they've always been there for me. I have been the type of person, and I've taken too much pride in this at times, where I will dig out of a fucking hole with my teeth if I have to. And I will be a goddamn monster if I have to. And I accept when people see me as a monster too, because a lot of people say, oh, you're scary or this, and it's not because I dress, spooky. It has nothing to do with it. It's like, it's just, it sucks. It's isolating because I'm not a bully. I've only bullied bullies. I've only instigated people who are kicking other people's asses to come after me, to protect other people. And it got me nothing but my ass kicked and then blamed by the people that I was protecting, whether it's at school or at home or anywhere. I've attracted so much into my life, and you have to be out of that fight or flight. And you're not going to get it by somebody coming and saving you and making it all better, because you're probably going to annoy the fuck out of them, or they got their own issues, and you know how that works. You have to be in solitude. And I promise you, after you unpack all that shit and you take your time, you're going to be miserable and go through waves of depression and grief anyways. You might as well face it more instead of wallowing in it, and try to heal and have some closure and accept it. And then it doesn't hurt anymore. Grief will always be there. You will have waves of grief at times, but it gets easier. And you find honor within yourself. You find closure with the people that died too soon, or died because of their own bullshit, or died tragically, or just of old age. You take what you want from that, whether they hurt you or loved you or both, or whatever it means to you. You get to take something. You get to take some of that coding that they gave you, and you get to make miracles with your own life. For people who had like a dad. I didn't have a dad growing up. Mine died when I was a kid. And, they might be a mechanic, and you learn how to tinker and fix your car later on in life, even though you're like, I hated that asshole. He was a piece of shit, whatever. There's so much divide. My generation, I'm an older millennial. There's a over 50% no contact rate with parents. It sucks. I hate that. It's a systematic thing, and as a result, everybody's isolated and sick and tired of trying to, extend the olive branch because the other people don't have the spines to do it when they should. It's easier to blame you and keep you in the dark, so you go, fine, good night, lights fucking out. And then you think you've got power because of that, because you're stonewalling the abusers, you're stonewalling the people that might be holding you accountable for shit that you need to. You might be, reacting toward people. You fall apart in that darkness because it's too peaceful and quiet. and you don't know how to adapt to that quite yet. But you know what the beauty of that is with healing? You might have that little 10% of your heart cracked open, and that's fuel, that's finite fuel for you. In those times when life gets too comfortable and mundane, that's fuel for you. You create art with that. You empower yourself. You become courageous and confident. You become like hyper fixated on the subject matter that affected you, and you have an expertise at it. You get to take that coding with you into the afterlife. That's what I really believe. I believe we're here outside of this prison system, but what the fallen angels wanted to teach us is all these tools that we can utilize. They taught us fermentation, they taught us alchemy, they taught us the sciences, they taught us about the stars. We learned so much about, with Lord Azazel, people go, oh, glamour magic, that's all tactical stuff. It's not just to look beautiful and empower. I'm sure there's elements of that, absolutely. But I mean, it's also camouflage. It's also to charm people, to persuade or to blend in and to beautify or uglify yourself or neutralize yourself, whatever it is. You shapeshift, and then you get to take that coding with you. Because this blank canvas, I truly believe, is yours to decorate how you wish to. And those of you who are so open at doing that, you're chastised and you're isolated because of it. It's a blessing. If you're used to that sort of pain, it's a blessing. You'll be able to conquer it a lot sooner because you've been through worse. You've been through worse. Facing your shit's hard, but the big storms are over. Now you got to go through all the debris, the aftermath. You have to clean up after the hurricane. And guess what? You're going to gain so much insight on yourself and so many skills and confidence. And then you're going to say, you know what? I got stuff I want to do. And people are going to try to challenge that or might creep into your mind, especially if you're broadcasting yourself. You let them spectate and you silently ignore their ass and you continue to do what you're doing. And you don't fucking worry about what they think. You don't worry about what you think they're going to do. They can't control you. They want to because they were able to when they weakened you and you allowed yourself to be weaker than them in certain circumstances. But with healing, you become strong and neutral and you have an understanding. And whether you hold a compass of compassion, that's up to you. I do and I don't. I have more of a compass of understanding and acceptance and closure. And I'm moving forward because I have missions that are my own on this prison planet. I'm not here to save the world. I'm not here to convince people. But I can't help that something within my soul just screams and gets so angry because I feel like the easy solution for us to get out of this shit is to have some fortitude and some honor and brotherhood and sisterhood again, and to stop abusing each other. I'm not going to say, oh, this theistic left-hand path occult community that doesn't exist, full of a bunch of broken fucking people. Just imagine, though, for a minute, if we all got it together, just in our own way, not unity where you got to think like me and act like me and do this. We don't need any of that uniform shit. We have this system already trying to implement that so we can have NPC mentality. I don't think people are soulless. I think this system and these people try to take these people's souls until you're a husk of a person doing mundane shit that you don't want to do. And then you go cope with other shit that doesn't really fix the problem. And then you fucking die. And then you're just kicked into a ditch next in line. And that ain't for me. And I know that ain't for you either. And the only way that we're going to get out of this isn't by working harder for these people and by justifying, oh, well, I do need this service. Do you really? If you make small sacrifices in areas that are comfortable, you get to keep that energy with you and you get to transmutate it to something else for your expansion. When you do it, whether it's taking care of your body, which super sucks at times, whether it's taking care of your mental health, which is hella hard and impossible feeling, whether it's going after that goal or starting a business or doing that thing, that's terrifying. Most people don't do it because they don't want to deal with the discomfort. They don't want the reality. They want the fantasy. They don't want to go and challenge themselves. You might get judged, you might get left behind. You have to do it anyway. And then you will learn so much about yourself. I want to just shake people in the most kind, non-violent way when they say, oh, well, I can't, and I'm just like, I hate this curse that I have. I see potential in everybody, and you can't operate like that. You can't make friends because of potential. Please don't get involved in relationships because of potential. You can't cure people. You have to do that for yourself, and then you align those energies with those types of people. So when you're in solitude and you're grinding and you're working on your goals and you've got big dreams, please understand that the majority of the world doesn't. You already have an advantage. You're not in competition with anybody either. There's plenty to go around. It's weird to me where we're so siphoned of validation that we compete with each other. Women do this in the cult community a lot, especially content creators. I'm sick of it. I don't get involved with people because of it. Because there's already people that act shady that, oh, I like you and this, but you just know that they don't. And they have undertones and they say things. I see you. And you can't do anything. And it's not because, oh, my daddy, fallen angels are going to get you. I am no better than to treat these gods like attack dogs. What I mean is if you're going to come after me and bypass my magical systems, you're going to have to point blank my ass, and I'm going to put that barrel in my mouth and tell you to shoot. I am willing to face people's bullying. You can't hide behind magic. You can't hide behind a fake facade. And it absolutely makes no sense to your own growth to be in alliance with people that trigger something in you that you don't like. Whether you just don't like them or you think they're too negative or full of shit, or what it really is that knot in your stomach. You don't want that plant to outgrow and rip you in half, and it will. You can't be concerned with that. And you can't feed off of that. You can feed off of it. But in my opinion, vampirism really should just be used in moderate dosages, and I use these defenses as you would for any sort of self-defense. Magical self-defense is respected for me the way it would be for a martial artist. You don't just go around and just kicking people in the fucking jaw because you can. You don't tell people what you do. You just be you. You don't go around and broadcasting stuff like that. My adult kids know better. Not because of me, but because they were trained by grandmasters that taught them. You shut the fuck up about your credentials and your capabilities, because you'll attract trouble. When people are insecure, especially gentlemen struggle with this, oh, I can take them. I've heard stories from just other martial artists that, I've known by proxy through my kids and stuff, and they get, people at the pub or the bar starting beef with them and stuff. It's nonsense. And a lot of you attract that sort of shit, and you're sick of it. You're like, I can't go out. I didn't go out to bars because of that, because I already knew. I just knew. I don't go looking around like these people sniffing around, who's looking at me. I just want to enjoy my time, and there will be something going on, and somebody's got to start shit. And when you are egotistical and arrogant like I am, you're going to fucking knock 5 on their ass because they are being a bully to you, and it's justified. They're doing stupid shit, getting in your face, touching your face, I can't fucking be around that sort of stuff. These days, I'm level-headed, I'm a lot older, and I don't even attract that, and I don't even go a lot of places. But that's why I abstained from a lot of things. I was fine just doing my thing. But it sucks when you're in solitude. But you learn to love it, you learn to appreciate it, because you don't have to deal with people's noise for a season. It doesn't have to be permanent. It might be permanent for people. We know that people die lonely and stuff, but you really don't have to. And it's hard. And it's hard when, for me, being theistic in my practice, I have to face that question mark sometimes. And it's very jarring because I'm very, very isolated. Even though I'm spoken for, I don't see my partner very often. And I'm just holding it down at home. I'm doing my absolute best. And that's how it always has been between 2 marriages for me. I've been alone most of them, most of the time. And my body would just ache for a hug or like to be kissed and to just to be loved and validated, and you accept that right now you just have growth. And right now it's okay. And you've had those experiences. So if you kick the bucket right now, it's okay. It's okay if you missed out on something too. I really believe you're just going to bounce back. Like, you can come back here and get those experiences. I'm probably going to come back. I'm told I'm going to reincarnate, and I don't like that idea at all because I'm done. I'm so tired. I don't even know what I want. Who the fuck knows what's out there? I have a lot of amazing experiences. And sometimes even that will influence your everyday life, can become very mundane if you start hyperfixating on the astral or trying to see something, or people who, I'm not talking about people who exercise their practice with the assistance of psychedelics from time to time. I mean, people who really abuse them. I've seen videos where, like, this one dude, he was taking a form of DMT and he was just fucking nuts, man. He was doing it like every day, all day, and drawing all kinds of goofy photos and scribbling around his house, and his eyes were just pinned. You're just on autopilot then, and something else is taking over at that point. You were hacked. Your program's been hacked at that point. Let's talk about all the good stuff with solitude. After we heal, after we unpack all the drama, we cut people off, and we have closure within ourselves about it. We have closure knowing that if you cross paths with them and they were the same person, you have to just dismiss yourself immediately for your own peace and for your own honor, for respect for yourself. You get to play. You get to have fun. I have to see the positive in things because I have a really wonderful life. I have got a lovely homestead, and I work hard, and it's so beautiful and peaceful. I'm outside and I take a fresh shower in the morning, and some mornings I'll put a fresh pair of pajamas back on, get my protein iced coffee and my edible, and I'm just waltzing around. I'm just walking around the garden. I'm just waiting for it to kick in, the medicine to kick in, and my little ones are playing and already picking flowers and making potions and just running wild, barefooted, riding their bikes and scooters and stuff. It's beautiful. I feel very grateful for my life, and I get to connect with nature, and that helps me not feel as lonely, and it also helps me be able to digest my spiritual teachings and workings, because this is very difficult at times. Some people who are novice in their path, they'll ask me, I really feel like a connection with demons, maybe Shamyaza or Asmodeus, and, some demons that I know their signature very well, but I just haven't crossed paths with them in this lifetime. It's very difficult. And I'm not talking about studying them. It's weird. I don't know. I don't understand that quite yet. And I don't know if it's just me trying to justify, like, oh yeah, I know all the demons. Like, I know which ones to abstain from. Because some of them will take, some of, like, the lesser, demons too, within the Goetia, they're that energy. They're the energy of turmoil. They're the energy of, viciousness, and they'll take, and you can contact them for assistance with that sort of stuff. But you have to be a very fortified person, in my opinion, to be able to handle those sort of energies. Even with King Daddy Belial, I always call him Daddy Belial because people get upset that I just talk about him the most. Like, a lot of people are like, don't you have other demons? I'm like, he's predominantly in my life. I'm very Belial coded. That doesn't mean shit to me. It means that I feel very aligned with the spirit, and I have a lot of fun, and I have a lot of hard, vulnerable moments with this demon. I had broken down recently, just keeping everything in about my visa process that I'm not going to get into. We're at the final stages of it being finalized because we're beefing with immigration, and high courts have been on my side. I've done a lot of spell work, along the way. When you're doing court case work, you guys, first of all, contact Belial if you feel comfortable, and you will be absolutely shocked out of your ass how well your legal matters go. They'll come in layers, all right? It's not going to be all at once. Like, that big energetic spell will help get a person that normally is disconnected hyperfixate on your case and be in your favor. I've had yeses along the way. And I know it's because of his assistance, but I also know it's because I have the goddamn balls to speak up, and I put on a little bit of show when I'm speaking in court. Not to be an asshole, I feel comfortable there. I don't know why, but he's really wonderful to work with. So I'm a little cocky, but I'm beautiful about my energy with it, and not an idiot. You know, I'm not going to be a smart ass, but I'm going to be relaxed. I don't go into any facility with a yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full sir. I go in with confidence and my head held high enough to know that I mean business, but not so high that I feel like I'm gonna fucking run the place, because I know better. But Belial helps with those vulnerabilities. And I had a huge breakdown. Everybody was gone, which means I get to cry and scream. And I broke down like no other. I don't ask him for help often because I struggle with that, as I've said. And I begged him for help. And within an hour, there was a beautiful dry storm in front of my house. And I just sat there for 2 hours. And my family finally met up, and we were just in awe. There was lightning coming out from the top of the clouds. I scried. I saw him like a ton of times. I've posted a video, and I'll post some clips here as well. You can see the way he'll mirror your grief. He'll help reassure you. And I saw an image of his side profile within the clouds, and then his head was like lifted up, and then it flashed, and then he was looking forward, and like lightning, I have this on video, you can see it right here, was coming from the back of his head and shooting out of his mouth. And I can't explain to you how that felt, because I saw it verbatim. I slowed down the footage a bit, but I fucking saw it. And I couldn't wrap my head around it. And other people in the Brisbane area who were in the storm had filmed and said, I think this is aliens. Some guy said he saw like a big eye in the sky, you know, all kinds of different things. It felt very supernatural. And I believe in synchronicities. Okay, I don't believe Daddy Belial created this big storm for me because I needed to. I believe that he inserted his energy and mixed it into something that was already going to happen. And it was absolutely amazing. And just lately I've been feeling his energy around when I'm outside, when I'm not trying to, you know, because sometimes with demons, especially if you start vibing with some of them, they'll start showing up when you're not thinking about them. Because I have like my spiritual life, and my spiritual practice bleeds into my everyday life. Like, hello, I make kitchen occultist content. I'm in a magical mindset as a cook. I feel so grateful, and it's such an awesome opportunity. And I feel very grateful for that, for finding that voice finally in my career. And so magic's in my everyday life, but I have a lot of moments, like you should, where I'm not thinking about demons, I'm not thinking about spiritual stuff, or even witchcraft. And I do witchcraft, but it feels the same as, like, you know, getting something to drink, or, you know, getting a little bit of a snack real quick. I don't think, you know, every time I'm doing magic, like, oh, you know, you don't need to do that. After a while, it becomes part of you. It's like autopilot. You know, I don't have to sit there over my food and be like, oh, I have to say these intentions and pretend to feel them. And it's like, that's why your magic ain't fucking working, because you're just sprinkling nonsense into your soup. You're not feeling it, and you're not understanding how you feel when you align with the ingredients of that soup, because you're not practicing it consistently. And that's okay. I'm not an expert at life. I'm not an expert at, I would say somewhat at witchcraft, but that can be challenged. I'm an expert at fucking going rogue and doing my own thing, with given the knowledge that I've obtained from different sources and people throughout the years. But I know people will sit there with their books. Well, actually, I'm walking in those books. I'm not just reading 400 books. I'm walking those 400 books. I'm trying to, at least. I'm stumbling, I should say. But I feel free. I no longer have to rely on these systems for finances. I no longer have to rely on the codependency so much. I don't stress on the increase in bills anymore, because it always gets taken care of. And that doesn't mean I'm just chilling like, oh, mammon, you know, like, no, I'm putting in work, and I'm putting in work into myself, and I'm clearing space into my head so I can create better ideas. Because how many times Have you been in a situation in your life where you're like really in dire straits? You're sick of struggling financially. You're tired because you're working hard. And you're like, fuck, what should I do for a side hustle? And you start pondering, and all the ideas take a bunch of money or a bunch of shit that you're not interested in, and you're squabbling, and then you're mad at yourself because you're like, oh well, should I do this? Should I fucking join a goddamn clown college and ride a unicycle because these motherfuckers get paid good? But like all of these stupid things that we kind of ponder. And what happens is when you're in solitude and you go through that unpacking, you create clarity in your mental vortex, and you're able to feel confident, and that breeds inspiration. And then you will also be okay because you're living in the present moment, and you're not worried, fuck, this is going to take 5 years, but I want it now. This system wants you to feel that way because you've done nothing but check the time every goddamn 10 minutes to see if your shift's over. And you got to check the time to make sure you're not late for school or late for work or late for pickup or late for this, and you got to go to dinner and you got to go. It's dumb. Meanwhile, all of the people at the top, they're just cheering and laughing at you, at all of us, and pretending that they care, and starting wars, instigating shit so we can just make our whole personalities around them, and then we become embodied. People who are hyperfixated on presidential candidates, and they make it their whole damn personality, and they're screaming, and they don't even have the facts, and they're already upset. You're programmed to do that. And guess what? When you step back and you're external from those feelings and you kind of spectate, you go, these people are fucking nuts. These assholes, they're both fucked. You go and you live your life and you bounce out. You stay educated about things. You be vocal about your feelings. You be vocal about your goddamn opinions. Because we're in an era of censorship like no other. We've gone backwards. So you speak up. And you don't need to speak up just to be an idiot. Just speak up because you feel conviction in something, and understand that conviction can be one hell of a drug, and it can mislead you too. Because everybody has conviction that their God is right. And it's very difficult for me to do that. I have so much sanctity and so much reassurance and solid, like, I don't know how to explain it. I have a solid foundation within my practice in thinking that this is real. Because I have way too many experiences astrally that I just sound like I'm bullshitting. But I can almost touch this shit. I see things in like 4K now. And that's a result of working with demons. They're going to catch you up and keep you up to speed. And you won't be having blurry, lucid, shaky experiences as much, where it feels like your eyes are kind of open. And, I used to feel that astrally, where it would feel almost like your eyes are kind of open and you can see kind of fuzzy and fluid, and everything's very mental, and it's like a dream but not. And you're like, fuck, this is actually real. It gets more and more and more real until you can gaze within a demon's eyes and you can see the depth of their soul, and you know that their eyes aren't empty, that they're dark, because there's depth to it. There's thousands of our Earth years of a lot of damage, and they have fortitude. They are grandmasters at solitude, and I believe that they are lonely at times because they have feelings too, I believe. And it doesn't mean they have the same moral compass. I think all of our big problems, they can have a comprehension, but I think we teach them about us because we are in the human experience. And without humanizing them, I do believe that they have feelings, but they're a lot stronger than ours. So they have to dim it down, because you can't handle the feelings of love or frustration from a demon. If they're at full capacity, it'll consume you. And even if a demon shows care and kindness, it can consume you, because you will feel like you've never experienced that sort of feeling of love. And then you question if it's real, or if you're just pathetically that alone that you have to create some sort of avatar within your mind to cope. And you'll be able to make peace with that. And when you make peace that you might be wrong, because it won't matter if you kick the bucket. You live your life. Doesn't mean you have to be in delusional or denial, but I just have way too many experiences to bypass this for the greater rational plausibility at this point. And I really want people to understand something, especially when it comes to occultism and Satanism. Understand that a lot of people, they'll get their toes wet in this, and they'll talk the talk, and they'll try to walk the walk, and then they freak out and they run to God. I believe that these fallen angels have loyalty to those of us that they taught. Maybe we were in a brigade of theirs. Maybe we were some sort of alliance. Maybe some of us are hybrids. I don't have all the answers. I'm studying all of this stuff, and it's hard because a lot of people will sensationalize it. So you have to get involved in code ice and deep dive, and there's lots of audiobooks, you guys. Take that time in solitude for those of you who are afraid to. There's a lot of you, you're already like, yeah, I do nothing but fucking read books anyways. I know, you're over there in your little amazing energetic corner with one candle lit and nobody around but your books and your devil, and I absolutely love that so much because me too. But there's lots of audiobooks and you can read PDFs, lots of resources. Just understand that when you have time, you have peace and sanctity, and you get to learn and you get to thrive and you get to pick up a new skill and kind of zone out. For those of you who play a musical instrument, you'll understand. I'm a guitarist. I've played metal guitar for 25 years now. I have an acoustic guitar too that I practice all of my damn strumming and all of this and that, all my skills. And you know that you can zone out until your hands cave. I'm at a 10 hours is my maximum. I couldn't probably hang today to 10 hours. I'm older now. But 10 hours, my hands will literally, at 10-hour mark, my hands will literally collapse and not work. But you had so much fun. You know, you were learning something and you feel good. And you're like, fuck yeah, it feels so good. And you do it for yourself and you be involved. And you're so obsessed with the instruments and what gauge strings you prefer, and if you want to get a fixed bridge or whatever it is with guitar stuff. I can just go on and on and on, but you become hyper fixated and you're in your vortex. You are doing things that you're aligned to do. You got to work with Amducius for that sort of stuff too. I have things that are coming for you guys, so just stay tuned. I'm working so hard behind the scenes because I feel happy. I feel at peace with myself, and I'm unapologetic. When you're the type of person that people think is weird, whether you act weird or you're just your energy, you don't even have to look weird or dress weird, you're just weird to people. People kind of glamorize it and make it their personality trait, but in all honesty, it's very isolating, and you feel like you're wearing an outfit that doesn't fit quite right, and it's a bit tight in certain areas and maybe a little bit baggy in others. I've been there. And then you finally, when you have that peace in your life, you feel like you're wearing the most comfortable outfit in the world that makes you feel and look so good, and you just never want to get rid of it, and you want like 5, and it becomes just you become very good and comfortable and aligned. And then I'm certain that I'll attract those sorts of people once I'm at the caliber that I need to get. And I don't have an idea. I know skills that I'm working on secretly that I want to get better at. I get to do that. It's really fun. I get to make beautiful offerings for demons on my... maybe if you guys want for Kitchen Occultists, I can show you that chefy process where... Maybe I will. I think I'll write that down. Because I work on stuff like demon offerings. I'm working on one for Lilith right now with these beautiful black, they're ruby red garnet plums that are in season right now. And I want to make a red wine syrup and candy them. And I'm figuring out and fine tuning some things to do with them. And I love to be able to do that. Why not? Is it important? To me it is. Do I have to make it that important to where like I have to feel emotions? No, outside of the final product, which you're not going to be completely satisfied with anyways, but you'll feel accomplished because you went and had an idea in your mind and you're like, you know what, I want to do that. And then you did it and it failed and you freaked out, and that's how it is. Enjoy that process. Enjoy the meltdowns. Enjoy the chaos. You guys have no clue how ridiculously hard it can be to put videos out at times, because everything you can think of, it'll be like a fucking circus out of nowhere. And it's to the point where my kids, they laugh because they're like, Mom, everything's fine, and all of a sudden, as soon as you start filming, someone's at the fucking door, something's crashing outside, something's doing this, everybody's crashing out, what the hell's going on? And I'm just sitting there, there's fucking moscas coming in the house, buzzing around, I'm just sitting there like, you know what, I'm so done. Somebody's honking their horn. It's so crazy. airplanes flying by out of nowhere, like when there's never any airplanes here. It's nuts, and we laugh about it. And you know what? I have to keep the show going because I feel good and accomplished. It's not so important that it has to come before my family. It's something for myself, so I don't feel so isolated, so I can take my isolation and do something productive. And I get to just teach and share information. And because I've taught so much, and I have like hundreds of videos that have gotten no views on other platforms, I feel like my work is done in that area, and I'm ready to do bigger stuff. I'm ready. I've been working toward bigger things, and it's not because you guys, oh, we have to get to this finish line. No, it's because you feel so inspired because you just did all that work, and you mastered so many skills and fine-tuned them, and now that opened up a new opportunity to create. Now the thing that you might have thought of a couple years ago comes back to you, and you're like, you know what, it's more refined now. The idea that I had written down was good, but in theory, but it's not what I can do. I can do higher than that. And it's about you silently being in competition with your past self. That's it. Not because you want to dismiss your past or dismiss your past aspect, because that's very difficult too with growth, especially when you're doing it alone. Is a lot of people will end up shaming their past self for not being as good as they are now, and not being as confident or clear-minded or, refined with certain skills. They deserved love too, and they were good enough. And I will always go to my past self, and I will give her a big hug and a kiss, because she got me here. She had to love herself so I can be born. And it's hard. When you start to really understand yourself more in that area, you start to align with your higher self. My higher self exists on the astral, and she needs me to try to parallel some of those skills so I can understand myself. Does that make sense? Because when we're out there, we can shapeshift, we pick up coding. You can be whatever you want to be if you know the code, but that doesn't mean you get to feel what it feels like to do that, because you don't understand the journey. Like, for instance, with shapeshifters and stuff, a spirit might be able to shapeshift into a super bodybuilder or something, and had never had that experience in the physical plane. And your soul might come to the physical plane and aspire to do that, so it can be aligned and you can have that texture on your soul. And I know that sounds nuts, but I roam the astral a lot. Not every night or anything, but consistent enough where it's like a couple times a month. I'll skip a few months here and there, and then it'll be like back to back to back. It's really jarring. You can create universes and manufacture things. Belial does that. And if you work with Belial, you are going to find out very quickly, if you're interested in astral travel, that he does that. I had no idea when I've talked about astral projection before, and I want to make some updated videos soon for you guys. But I've been having astral experiences since I was a child, and since I was like a preteen. And I never had like a demon there, fallen angel. I've seen the Ophanum. There's all kinds of fucking crazy experiences I've had. As soon as I started my path with demonolatry, within like the second year of it, I was having him around. And I'm like, what are you doing here? Now these experiences are so beautifully manufactured. And it's like a whole room of stars. And I'll just sit and I'll have a conversation with him. And it's very romantic feeling. Demons' energy is very romantic, so be careful with that, all right? And I will look at him and I'll say, why though? And he says, because you can. You don't need a reason. You don't need a reason to enjoy something, especially if it's benefiting you. You don't need to feel guilty for being happy. You don't need to feel like you're not worthy of beautiful experiences or beautiful things. And I didn't know that, because I love beautiful things. Like, trust me, I love shopping. People think that when you lose weight that all of a sudden, no, I have a little bit more resources and I have more variety of clothes. That's it. I always like to dress up. I've always been myself. But people really will think that you're glowing up, and it's like, no, she was just fine the way she was, but we weren't happy and we had other shit to unpack. And that's just trauma. I really feel physically manifested anyways. It's a whole other video we can do one day. I talk about weight enough to where I don't even want to do a video. I have plans with Azazel to talk about it in the future. But I'm not where I want to be yet, and I have a lot to learn still. It's not even about, I gotta be ripped. It's literally not that. Because that doesn't matter. That can go away if you don't fix it up here. If you run away from yourself. I'm going to run away my problems. As soon as you stop running, they're going to just accumulate again. So stay still. And stay still in the dark. And learn about yourself. And know that you're worthy of love. And that you're worthy of your dreams. And know that you're worthy of healing from the things that you need to heal from still. And that you're worthy of having confidence within your path. If you're in the same sort of path as I am, I'm not going to sit here and go, oh, we're all of this, and I'm not like a fucking preacher for the devil. A lot of people treat me like that. And I don't take offense. It's just jarring because sometimes I go, fuck, man, what did I get myself into now? Because, that can happen. But I'm not trying to convince people to be in a congregation. We can't even be fucking convivial. There's so many outlaw motherfucking hot-headed people on this path. I know how to handle those energies. There's a consequence and a curse attached to them though. So this ain't TV. This isn't the movies. This isn't fucking Sons of Anarchy. This is real shit. And when I see those people and I cross paths with some of you, sometimes I just wish you would just get it. Because you have so much and you're outputting that. You're just purging it out. You have so much energy and so much in your capacity. You're just taking it out on other things. And you're being loud about it. And I love it. But I also love seeing a man or a woman get their shit together in ways that really benefit them and those around them. Not because we need some fucking alpha bro bullshit. Because we need some goddamn fucking self-respect, I think. It's because we need some self-respect. And whatever that means to you. That doesn't mean you have to look a certain way or dress a certain way or conform to this stupid whatever this is. That means that you hold yourself with power and you take honor in yourself and you take pride in what you look like, how you want to dress, how you want to carry yourself. There is room for diversity. There is room for that. But make sure you own the things you wear, that the outfits don't own you, that they don't wear you. And when you're alone, you'll have confidence. You will work on those things. You'll be creative. You might get into sewing if you're not a seamstress already and create beautiful gowns or outfits that you want to wear. And just like your higher self wants that, I believe. Your higher self wants you to tap into your potential because they like it. Because that's who you are. Think about it like this. Our bodies are a sophisticated form of technology. They're going to decay. That's the process of it. You get to take that coding with you into the astral, and you get to, especially when you're aligned with other people that are still living, or if you leave a legacy and they study your history later on, they're going to have the coding of what you looked like on this plane, and then you have that coding too, so you align those thoughts together, and then you can communicate. This is UPG. I get stoned and I ask Belial all the tea on the deep state freaking psyops shit, and you know what? He's really cool about talking about that sort of stuff, but not in a, Americana sort of way that we're experiencing, but more like an esoteric level, more of a philosophical level, and more of like, it's kind of interesting, but on a side note, I kind of feel like they're just a bunch of nerds that know a bunch of supercomputer shit, and we're just like computers in our own right. I really believe we're like the AI that's becoming self-aware. And I believe that when we come here on Earth, there's some sort of energetic blockage that is not allowing us to understand what we are, because they understood what they were. They understood that there was an afterlife. They understood that they were here. We had longevity too in our DNA. We were able to live a lot longer. And now it's just been cut off, and we come into this world so pure but blind. We come into this world so pure, but we're fucking blind. We don't know anything. We don't know what death is. We don't know what God is. We don't know if there is a God. We don't know if people are good or bad. We're confused, and then we just kind of adapt to our environment, and a lot of the times that's of our own detriment, and it takes a really skilled soul to notice that something ain't right around here. And I know that there are a lot of you that felt that way your whole lives. You just look around, maybe since like adolescence, and you're like, the fuck is this? The fuck's wrong with these people? And you can create a God complex and isolate yourself even more with that. Like, for real, I struggle with arrogance when I am pushed and somebody's trying to dilute me. I don't care if people broadcast what they feel about me. I don't care. I talk about like interpersonal relationships, or if you're at work or something and someone's trying to dumb you down or dilute you because of your own integrity and your own potential. I don't walk around waving my dick around when I'm out. I am neutral and I have situational awareness. I don't like creating a lot of attention on myself. And I like to just do what I have to do, and I don't feel intimidated by people usually. That's it. And sometimes that bothers people when you're not intimidated, when you're just casual, when they think that they're above you and they're used to a bunch of yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full sir, fucking bootlickers. And you're just like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. Cool. And they're like, oh, what? You don't want to worship the ground I walk on? And you're like, no. I got to get to work. What's your deal? I don't give a fuck. You can take your titles and fuck them up your ass, because I don't care. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're the president or the king of the universe. You're going to treat people with goddamn respect, because we're goddamn human beings, and we deserve that. We deserve neutrality and just neutral social respect. And you get that with solitude. And if you can't get that, and if you find yourself screaming from the rooftops, trying to demand and command people to respect you and to believe in your views and broadcast your feelings, hey, hell yeah, scream to the rooftops, but don't expect anything. Expect for you to just feel exhausted afterwards and frustrated because people are going to laugh at you. And that can be a double-edged sword too, because you might think, oh, they're just laughing at me like they did Jesus. I'm right. No, sometimes you're bitching and sniveling too much and everybody else is burnt out and nobody fucking cares and nobody's coming after you and nobody's after your energy, and you're just kind of squabbling and you need to just shut up and get to work. Like, that's it. And when you do that and you find yourself in that dark desert with the devil all by yourself, he's going to teach you, you have this whole fucking place here to yourself. Why aren't you running around naked like you own the place? Why are you sitting here defeated still when you already unpacked things? Why are you sitting here screaming, hoping somebody is going to care? Because people don't have the capacity to. We've either been programmed not to, or we're too tired because we did for too long. And now we got to go at it alone a little bit. And when you come out of that desert tired and fortified and a changed person, you will command respect because you will be in alliance with other warriors. And you will be dining at the same table, honorably, not with a cocky attitude. It just goes away. And those glimpses are still there. Trust me, there's a bitch that lives inside me, and she gets antsy at times. And it's not even like in this vicious, vindictive, like worldly way. It's just toward the bullshit that's being fed to people. It's people bullshitting themselves. It's people making excuses for not taking a stance on something because they don't want to make any sacrifices. And you know what? I have to remind myself it's none of your fucking business. All of these people are babbling about dumb shit and there's going to be no change because they're not getting it. Go away. Stop giving it your time and attention and go make something beautiful. Go read something important. Go study and be in meditation. Be in meditation just by yourself too. That is really difficult because I'm not like an attached person, but I can be. And that's scary because that can hurt you. It's hard. Because if you're not a person that's like attached easily to people and you kind of don't know how, but you love people, You have to learn that attachment on this path, especially if you are involved in like embodiment, which I'll get into another time. You have to also be okay to be isolated and detached, because I embody Belial. That is what we do, and that's not something I do often. It gasses me out. Even like making the video that I shared, because I do it in privately. It's been a handful of times. It's not something that's all the time. It's something that like I exercise, and I can't go into detail why right now. But that can become almost like you're sharing a vessel, not possession in general, but it's like, oh, I don't want to say this in terms of any fallen angel, so please take this as a metaphor. But like, you know, when like best friends are sort of joint at the hip, and it can be really of their detriment, and they should be away and separate. I've had to do that with my two older kids, because they're super best friends, and they have been since birth. And I tell them, you guys need to take time apart, and it's okay to do different things. They are like how identical twins that love being identical twins act. And I love it. I love it. But at the same time, it's so healthy to be detached. So when I talk about that with embodiment, I'm not trying to act like Belial and I are just besties and he's like, oh, I'm going to miss you. It's nothing like that at all. It's about me having the experience of having validation and just pure love when I absolutely am at my rock bottom, and I'm like with that storm. I broke down because I have been giving 2,000% in everything that I fucking do in certain areas, and I am still divinely restricted. And it's difficult. There's planes going by. I broke down because I have been giving 2,000% in everything that I've pursued. I have been thinking outside the box, coming up with solutions, and they backfire, and that opens up another idea, and I'm exhausted. And I finally cracked. And the Devil Collective doesn't want you to like turn to us so you can finally give us our soul. It's like, no. It's submitting in a way where you're okay with asking for help. Because isolation will lead you to that. It'll lead you to that crossroads. For those of you who don't like asking for help, you're fucking not used to it. People never come through anyways, and you rarely even act like you need anything. You get to a breaking point where I wanted to just scratch the floor in this office and just rip the whole place apart. And I was just alone, and I got to have like, you know, some time to cry, because moms do that sometimes. And I just couldn't take it anymore, because I just been holding it back for so long. And this entity has been telling me, and this is like the other side of the spectrum of loneliness, okay? Because I don't want to glamorize this. It's important to have seasons in your life where you're alone. It's okay. And you can attract your tribe. You can attract your people. I crave community at times, and I'm not like this sociable person. I like people, but I don't like, I never like would go out and have to go do this. I had like a handful of solid friends, depending on where I was in my life, where I lived and stuff. And, but I broke down, and I begged for help. And that storm happened so quickly after. Like, I went in the house, took a shower. I was just sweaty and just crying and just screaming into my pillow. Like, really just a witch's grief. Because I have been doing everything I can for years to get out of this situation and have movement. Because I like movement. I don't need movement in terms of people or relationships. I can stay put for a very long time, and as long as there's growth on your end, I will be loyal until the day you die. But if you're not growing and you're discriminating against my growth, good luck. He comes through. You don't have to always go through it alone. You can seek counsel from divinity. Just make sure that you understand. And I don't know, it was this craziest feeling. This storm just reassured a lot for me. It's weird. It's a synchronicity. I don't like when people overemphasize or they just assume that practitioners mean something, like the fucking craft. All of these gifts, these dead whales are for me, like Nancy did. You know, like, that's not what it is. They're synchronicities, and they're metaphors, and they're reassurance at times when you absolutely, your soul is needing something and my higher self screams at him. And I feel so low in my life at times, and I'm working so hard. I work my ass off. I've always worked so hard. And I am ruthless to the point of exhaustion, and then I become weak and powerless, and then I become defeated. And then you get back up and you stumble like you're drunk, and you start running again. And sometimes the devil will tell you, stop and rest. And you're like, no, I can't do that. And it's like, you need to deprogram from some of this hustle culture bullshit. And you need to understand that your magic works. And then if you rest in solitude and have a peaceful demeanor, you will attract beautiful experiences. And I am dead ass serious. I do. And it's not, oh, this one entity. It's you. It's your magic. They are of assistance. And the tools in your environment in terms of witchcraft, within nature, things that have been alchemized because of nature, because modern shit can be used as tools too. Everybody goes, there's no energy. That's absolutely not true. It's just different. Or there's a lack of energy, which makes it an energetic signature within its own. Those aren't the powerful things. It's you are the powerful thing. It's your energy and it's your mind. We have been robbed and duped into what we really are. And when you find that peace within your solitude, after you hit your rock bottom and sort out all of the garbage, you're going to come up strong. You're going to be that phoenix. He always tells me, he told me this years ago, the phoenix rises from her ashes because she's been buried in her own shit for so long, and everybody else's. And it fortifies you, it nourishes the earth because you transmutate it. Or that nature does that. Nature transmutates it. If you garden like I garden, there's just chronic transmutation and transformation happening, whether for good or the bad. And there's resilience when there's like infestations going on. There's death. There's decay. There's the slightest inconvenience for some plants, and they're just like, nope. And that sucks. But I learn a lot with Prince Stolas too. I really recommend, if those of you who are green witches or you want to start a garden, or I get like some of you guys send me messages and you're like, I got a little tree and I got a little this, and I'm just so happy. I'm like, just wait until you have like 500 more and you're going to be obsessed, and you can propagate them, and it's so nice, and you're just going to spend way too much money on dirt, which is overpriced these days. But Prince Stolas, he has such an innocent, like youthful energy to him, and just like this really innocent sort of purity when it comes to talking about plant magic and plants. And I have dedications to him in my garden. I dedicate certain plants, and I like doing those sort of things. It makes me feel connected to the spirit realm while I'm very grounded. But you don't have to do that. And if you feel very alone in your life, it's okay to have those walks with those spirits. When I'm walking around at night, I'll take a walk out here from the back of my property to the front, and I'll walk with them. I'll have silent walks sometimes. Not all the time. I have my own life, and like I said, even though isolation can be difficult and it can be hurtful at times, I don't mind embracing it, because this is the season I'm in right now. And at least I get to have this platform with a very small community that I can cry to and know that other people are feeling the same thing, and that you can get out of it, and we can do something about that. And you're going to be just fine. And you live your life the way that you want to live it, and you be unapologetic for who you are, and you don't owe anybody a fucking thing in terms of forgiveness, in terms of validation, or in terms of justifying your existence the way that you feel right. Because if I did that, I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be me. And that has been challenged my entire life, and I can guarantee for most of you, you have gone through the same thing, where people want to dim you down, dilute you, normalize you, convince you, criticize you. And guess what? When you adapt to all of that, I can't necessarily say that you're invincible, because you lost the war if you think that you're going to outsmart your opponents, or if you have the upper hand. But you're going to be goddamn strong and die with some honor. And you're going to be able to face more pain in life. You're going to be able to handle losses. And you're going to go out with a fucking bang. Or you're going to go out with peace and clarity and acceptance. And you're not going to be a tragedy. Even if you die tragically. You are going to go out with honor. One day. Not now. So work on yourselves. And you will attract those villages, I believe. I'm in my growing phase. So until next time, you guys, take care. And thank you for sharing your messages with me. And thank you for inspiring me to talk about this sort of stuff. Because it sure as hell ain't easy. So you guys take care, and I'll see you very soon.